the first thing we could do is we knew, of course, leadership in Congress. And we also had connections to these families who wanted to come tell their stories.
The Israelis decided who they were sending over. Kalev and whoever he was working with in Israel, officials, sent over a delegation. We hosted that delegation in our office. There were a series of meetings that we had been working on with bipartisan members of the House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats and even independents, that we thought it was essential for them to meet. The first order of business, though, when they arrived in the United States, was to meet at our offices in Washington, D.C., so that we could brief them on protocol, what was to be expected, and what they should be sharing.
So my dad contacted me and said, we're going to be able to bring some of these families to D.C. How do you want to use our government affairs team? I said, first, let me talk to them, but I'm going to go to some people I know. I'm going to go to Elise Stefanik, who's the Republican conference chair. So she's a third-ranking member of the Republicans in the House of Representatives. And I'm going to go to Jared Moskowitz, who is a new congressman out of Florida, but he's been very outspoken on issues involving Israel, and he's worked across party lines before. He was able to bring in a group of Democrats that support Israel strongly, that again, we've been on the other side of the issues, many issues before, but on this issue we can work together. From there, it went from Elise's office to the Speaker's office, and Speaker Johnson, who had only been on the job, a week and a half at the time, said, let's put together a press conference. We'll first have a meeting where we'll bring in the family member representatives. We'll meet with them, and it'll be about 4 or 5 of the House leadership, and then we're gonna go do a press conference with all the Republican leadership.
Today, the House Republican Conference is joined by the families of 4 of the over 200 hostages taken by barbaric Hamas terrorists on October 7th. As a mother, sister, and daughter, my heart breaks for the unspeakable pain they are enduring every second of every day. On this issue of standing with Israel and these families, there can be no moral equivocation.
House Republicans met with and heard from family members of some of the victims, not only to understand their grief and pain and worries, but to make clear why Israel must do everything in its power to wipe out Hamas and ensure that what happened October 7th can never happen again.
We are pleading you, the world, to help us to speak with Hamas. We have no clue what's happened to them. We only know that they are in Gaza. We don't know if they are injured, if they are together, if they are still alive.
And I will say again and reiterate once more, we will stand against these atrocities, and we will stand with Israel, and we'll stand with each of you and your families. We'll be praying for you, and we'll be taking action, because that's what we're going to do here, that's what's called for. I know that your time is short and you have to leave. I want to thank Jay and Jordan Sekulow, the American Center for Law and Justice, for helping facilitate the visit today.
From that meeting, we took the group of family members to Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries is the Democratic leader in the House of Representatives. They meet with him for about an hour. In between that, I head down to meet with Jared Moskowitz, Democrat congressman from Florida, for the meeting he's setting up and the briefing he's setting up. That meeting had in it people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Jamie Raskin. I mean, some of these folks who have been on, again, very different positions than us, and yet this issue brought us all together, and kind of, for that moment in Washington, partisanship went away.
With the historic agreement we've just signed, those prayers of millions have finally been answered. As you know, the hostages have been returned, and further work goes on.
Well, you've heard the good news, and that is President Trump arrived in Israel and announced that the 20 remaining hostages that were alive had been returned to their families and been reunited with their families. This is a major development. As you recall, the American Center for Law and Justice has been front and center representing hostage families. Our office in Jerusalem is monitoring the situation as it develops. There's going to be bumps in the road because that's what happens in this region of the world. But I am very hopeful that we are about to see an era of peace and prosperity for all sides. I'm very optimistic and very pleased. The president deserves a lot of thanks from the American people, but also from the world for brokering this peace agreement. This was not easy. This kind of diplomacy is hard, but President Trump did a fantastic job building, of course, on the Abraham Accords. We will keep you posted. Our office in Jerusalem fully engaged. Support the work of the American Center for Law and Justice at ACLJ.org. You make all of this possible.